Well, hi there. It is 10:45. Damn, is that late? And time to show up. I'm showing up. I'm glad you showed up. I appreciate every single one of you. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit, and let's shit in the box. I figured it out. I figured it out yesterday. I know why Starfield sucks. Whoa. I thought you loved Starfield. I do love Starfield, but why does everybody else think that Starfield sucks? There's a reason. I have copious notes on this. Let's take a look at the early game of the last 3 Bethesda games. And we'll take a look at the first 2 first, Skyrim and Fallout 4. In Skyrim, you start out with the cart ride, okay? Which is basically exposition. But what Bethesda always tried to do, game after game after game, and it used to be nothing but Elder Scrolls games. It used to be nothing but Elder Scrolls, and every single game, they tried to improve it. They tried to make it better. They tried to get closer to the grand vision of the best game ever. And we're going to look at how Skyrim and Fallout 4 made progress in that direction. And then we're going to look at how Starfield tries to make additional progress on Fallout 4 and how it fucked up. All right? So bear with me on this. I love all 3 of these games. I have thousands of hours in all 3 of these games. So do not for 1 second think that I'm shitting on Bethesda in this. This is Bethesda working hard and doing a good job. They just kind of stumbled on Starfield. Toward the end, I will talk about how I would fix Starfield, but nobody cares what I would do, so you'll probably stop watching before then. Anyway, Skyrim starts with that cart ride, and at the end of the cart ride, you get a character generation moment. Fallout 4 begins with some short exposition, then jumps into appearance generation, and splits the actual character skill section of that to a later date, so it can be interactive. Part of the problem with Skyrim, part of the thing that, when you play Skyrim these days, you know that you're just going to be sitting there watching cutscene after cutscene after cutscene for like 20 minutes. But in Fallout 4, they try to get past that in just a couple minutes, get you into appearance generation, and then get you into the introductory play of the game, doing your life before the bombs dropped. This is a dramatic improvement. Then the Vault-Tec representative comes to your door. In the same way that Hadvar asks, "Who are you?" in Skyrim, now you do your character generation. But you've already done your appearance. So all you're doing now is choosing where to put your special attributes. After this, you get a rail section, and that rail section ends with an event. In Skyrim, this rail section is Alduin shows up, causes problems. You've got to run from Alduin, you've got to make your way across Helgen, and you've got to get to the tower, and you've got to make your choice between Hadvar and Ralof. This choice is stupid and doesn't matter, so Fallout 4 doesn't have it. Instead, Fallout 4 has the bombs drop, you go and you get in the vault, and when you go get in the vault, they steal your baby and shoot your spouse. Pow. There's your event. At this point, you go to a dungeon exploration. In Skyrim, you explore the dungeon of Helgen. In Fallout 4, you explore the dungeon of the Vault. And then you leave. You have your coming out into the sun moment. The coming out into the sun moment is hugely important. And this is where the world opens. It's also, in Fallout 4, this is where you have gotten to select your first perks. You're going to hit level 2 around here, or toward the end of the dungeon section, and you're going to be able to choose your first perk. You get perks every level, and this is how Fallout 4 does powers. This is because in Skyrim, it's a little bit longer. In Skyrim, the world opens, you're offered a short journey to a peaceful location and a potential home base with a quest giver who sends you on a longer journey to a quest target, which gives you a new quest that has a dungeon exploration, and then there's a boss battle. After that boss battle in Skyrim, you get your first powers. You get the unrelenting force shout, the first word, Fus. In Fallout 4, the perks are your powers. But at this point, you still have a short journey to a quest giver, which is walking down to Sanctuary Hills in Codsworth. And Codsworth sends you on a longer journey to a quest target. He sends you down to Concord. And Concord has a dungeon exploration through the History Museum, followed by a boss battle in the power armor with the minigun against the Deathclaw. Whereas in Skyrim, you have the short journey to your quest giver, a longer journey to your quest target. They send you to Bleak Falls Barrow. You get the Dragonstone, you bring it back, and you have to go out and fight a dragon. That's when you get your first powers, after that dragon fight. That's a long way to wait for your first powers. And it forces you to get a specific first power. In Fallout 4, you're always in charge of which power you get next, and you can plan it. And planning it out, this is a huge thing about Fallout 4 that I think is dramatically overlooked. Planning out your build and which perks, which powers you're going to get first. That's really, really important. People really, really enjoy that. And when you look at how Skyrim is constructed compared to how Fallout 4 is constructed, Fallout 4 is clearly the same structure, but it's better. It's better in almost every respect. There's more interaction. There's more agency. There's more personal stake in Fallout 4, where they really try to make it personal. That's also kind of a liability. Everybody understands, man, fuck that dragon, it tried to kill me. Lots of people don't understand the deep and abiding concern you have as a parent for your child. Fallout 4 was clearly directed at an older audience that has a family. Skyrim is kind of juvenile, you know. It has this adolescent inciting event, where it's just like, that dragon tried to kill me. Fuck that dragon. I'm going to kill that dragon and every dragon that looks like that dragon. It's a pretty childish motivation. Fallout 4 had an adult motivation. You have a similar adult motivation in Fallout 3. You could kind of see a pattern there. Anyway, Fallout 4 gave you more time playing your character in the introduction and less time being told what to do. And it had a more powerful emotional impact if you're that kind of person. And you can see that trend. This is designed for older people. This is designed for people that have a more mature outlook on life. Now let's take a look at Starfield. In Starfield, you don't get your appearance generation up front. I'm like of two minds on this. On the one hand, I feel like there's a lot of investment that comes in with the appearance generation. On the other hand, I do appreciate wanting to get into things and actually play the game. So in Starfield, you do your intro play, which is mining on Vectera. Then you have your character generation after you pick up the first artifact. Starfield treats picking up your first artifact like getting your first power. But you don't get the power. You have to go to a temple. There's a new thing that you have to do before you can get the power. And we've done this before in Skyrim. If you go back to Skyrim, all of your word walls, you have to visit the word wall, to get the word, and then you have to fight a dragon to get the soul, to put the soul into the word and make the shout work. Starfield doesn't do that. Starfield instead gives you this artifact and says there's a thing going on. Then you get your character generation, and then you have another section that's on rails and that ends with an event. In this particular case, the event is combat. And the combat in Starfield, look, I don't care who you are. If you played Skyrim and Fallout 4, okay, you know Starfield's combat is like miles and away above the combat in those games. It's just so much better. So they play to their strength here, which is great. They're trying to improve everything. And now, now you get the ship tutorial and the space combat and the traveling thing, and oh god, this is so fucking tedious, and it just interrupts everything. They've shoved it into the middle of it. They've shoved your ship launch, your ship combat, your ship landing, and your planetary survey tutorial. They've shoved all these things right into the middle of it before the dungeon exploration, and they didn't do a very good job. So yeah, we're going to talk about that toward the end. Then, after this, you get your dungeon exploration, which is the facility on Crete. And then you have a short journey to the quest giver. And after that short journey to your quest giver, this is where the world opens now. You have to do the short journey first. You have to go to the lodge and have your base of operations before the world opens up. This is arguably an advance, because previously they opened up the world in both Fallout 4 and Skyrim. They opened the world before you went on your short, fairly peaceful journey to a friendly quest giver who offered you a home base that you could stay in. Now they don't open up the world until after you have a home base. They go, this is your home base. Here's a place you could come back to. The world is open now, but you have a place to come back to. I think that's an advance. Then there's a longer journey to your quest target. This is the old neighborhood where you have to go to the star station, and that longer journey involves talking to Commander Tuala, going to Sidonia, talking to the bartender, and being sent out to the Nova Galactic Star Yards. And once you go through the Nova Galactic Star Yards, there's your dungeon exploration, and after your dungeon exploration is done, there's no boss battle. There just isn't one. It's empty. You pick up the artifact, you don't even get the visions. You just head back to the lodge and put it in the collection. It's very anticlimactic. You've put more time into this. You've put more effort into this. And there hasn't been that big payoff. They haven't gone, this is why you're doing this. They haven't gone, look, this is the cool shit that you're going to get for doing this. They've given you no cool shit at all the whole way through this. And they just tell you to keep going. It is at this point that you get an additional quest, and that additional quest is once you get back with Sarah, they give you the quest where you could go and be with Sam Coe, which I think is the quest that most people do because it's like right there. But they also give you a quest to go and find Barrett. That quest is bullshit and doesn't really get you much of anything. There's no artifact at the end of that quest. There's just Barrett as a companion. It's the quest to find Andrasia, which leads two places. One of them just has an artifact. One of them has Andrasia and the artifact. And once you've done both of those, at that point, when you go back Constellation. Now Vlad can tell you where there's a temple. There need to be a total of 5 artifacts before Vlad can tell you there's a temple. Okay? And those 5 artifacts typically come from either... You can't just do the mission with Sam Coe. You have to do the mission with Andrasia. You have to get Andrasia before you can find the first temple. You don't have to go get Barrett before that. You can put off going to get Barrett for a while. But you can go to a couple of temples just on the basis of that. Looking at this, there's yeah. So kind of in order, the temples that you get anti-gravity field. This is another thing, is as they send you to temples, they send you to the mining outpost, or they send you to get the anti-gravity field power at Temple Ada. I'm looking at my notes and I'm getting confused by them for some reason. I don't know. The artifact comes from Argos extractors. The anti-gravity field comes from the temple. The temple could be anywhere. They send you to a temple, and the temple might be like anywhere at all. The first power you get is the anti-gravity field, okay? And the anti-gravity field is, I mean, let's be blunt, it's a shit power. And the next power you get after that is based on the one in Morara's ship. Is it the one you get in Morara's ship? Let me check. I've got some notes. I've got some notes that I took on this in the form of a thread on Blue Sky, where I just like went on and on. I basically live blogged on Blue Sky the entirety of a main quest run directly from the beginning. I got to the first temple on level 7, and I got the anti-gravity field. Okay, and the second one is the personal atmosphere from Temple Alpha. Artifact Alpha must have already been at the lodge when the game started. There are 2 artifacts at the lodge when the game starts. Artifact Alpha is the next one that you get, and this is actually in the order you encounter them. You get anti-gravity field from Temple Ada, from Artifact Ada at the mining outpost. Then you get personal atmosphere from Temple Alpha based on Artifact Alpha, which was in the lodge at the beginning. Then you've got Artifact Beta from Moira's ship. That gives you Gravity Wave. Gravity Wave is effectively Unrelenting Force from Skyrim. And it's fucking garbage. It sucks. It's really, really bad. It doesn't do much. And at this point, you've done a whole lot of work to get to the first power that actually seems useful. Personal atmosphere actually is useful in a way that I think a lot of people don't realize because they're pissing and moaning about this all the time. Your carry capacity is an issue from very early in the game. And people are constantly going around over encumbered. Personal atmosphere is the solution to that. You throw off personal atmosphere and you don't run out of oxygen. It helps you run these long distances to points of interest. It helps you get places when you're over encumbered, and nobody seems to give it any credit. It's in-game useful, but not in a way that progresses the game. It's a utility function. And in the same way, Gravity Wave is a utility function at best. If you're swarmed by enemies, you can use Gravity Wave to push them away. But that kind of relies on you already sucking at the game because you got surrounded by enemies. That's not fun. Then you get Gravity Dash, which, funnily enough, you get your Grav Dash, and your Grav Dash is basically whirlwind sprint from Skyrim. These are the same two first powers you start with. And they're garbage. Grav Dash gets you 10 meters forward, and yeah, you know, it's whirlwind sprint from Skyrim. But it's shite. It's absolute fucking garbage. It's not useful for anything. There's no point to Grav Dash in Starfield. You may as well not have gotten a power at all. Then you get precognition. And precognition, I find precognition so thoroughly worthless. I really do. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. I had somebody tell me, oh, it helps me to not choose shit options in dialogue. What shit options in dialogue? It doesn't help in persuasion at all. I don't know what the point is. And then you finally, in Temple Kai, you get Sense Star stuff, which is actually useful for me. I really like it, but I'm a sneaky stealth sniper. That's what I do, okay? I'm a stealth archer in Skyrim, and I'm a stealth sniper in Fallout 4, and I'm a stealth sniper in Starfield. Those are the things that I do. That's the main, and that's the thing. I had somebody say, hey, gravity wave is useful for pushing enemies back when you're surrounded. I'm never surrounded. I engage at range. I always engage at range. Sense Star stuff is useful. But gravity wave, no. Grav dash, no. Precognition, why? And let's see. Where was it? What level was I when I got Creator's Piece? I was about level 12 or 13, I think, when I got that. And I was just powering through the main quest. I was doing nothing but powering through the main quest. And it's fairly far into things. It's not, and when you get to high price to pay, and I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. One of your crew dies during high price to pay. And that first time through is a harrowing fight. It's difficult. It's really, really difficult. However, I was level 15, and all of the Starborn I'm encountering are level 30. I think the minimum level for Starborn is level 30. I think that's where you're supposed to be at this point. And I'm trying to get through at half that. So, at 9 hours in, it took 9 hours of gameplay to get to a point where, to get through that fight with the hunter. And I don't have any combat useful powers at all. So we are at this point, we have collected 3, 6, 7, we've collected 9 artifacts. And we've been to 7 temples. And we got Creator's Piece after Sense Star stuff. Now, I'm told this is useful for making the enemy drop their weapon, but you have to pick it up really quick so they don't get it back. Why are you right up on top of the enemy? I'm sorry, I do the whole stealth sniper thing. So The stealth archer was not just inevitable, it's the dominant strategy, and it remains that way. These two powers, the next powers you get, are Solar Flare and Reactive Shield. Now, Reactive Shield is good when you're in the thick of it. Solar Flare is one of my go-to powers. I love Solar Flare. I use the shit out of it. But Solar Flare is rough at this point in the game. It uses a lot of your power, and your power doesn't regenerate that quickly. This is also when you start having to fight Starborn after picking up every artifact. And essentially the next the next 5 powers that you get, okay? Well, the next 4. You get Alien Reanimation from the Scow, which is Temple Phi, and you get Void Form for Temple Omicron, which is the Scavenger Burrows. And after that, the Nishina Research Station will give you Eternal Harvest when you find the temple for that, and the NASA launch facility will give you Elemental Pull when you find the temple for that. And those are your planetary collection powers. Then the Buried Temple. The Buried Temple is kind of it's odd because you find Artifact Mu in the Buried Temple, but then you get the power Earthbound from Temple Mu. So I don't think the Buried Temple is Temple Mu. I think the Buried Temple is Temple Epsilon. And I think that means that the second artifact that's already in the lodge is Artifact Epsilon. And then once you collect that artifact in the Buried Temple, you collect all of the other various powers. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 more. 9 more. You got Particle Beam. Yeah, okay. So let's talk about what exactly Bethesda fucked up here. They don't give you your powers for a really, really long time. And you don't have a strong incentive to follow along with the main quest. The main quest doesn't really give you a whole lot. You don't get cool powers until you're like 7 hours in. What was it? When did I get, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it looks like that was about 7 hours in. You can put off rescuing Barrett until you get the Sent Star Stuff power. You can collect all of that. But anyway, the major place that Bethesda fucked this up is they made the same mistake that every game company makes, the same mistake that every software company makes. They have, first of all, overestimated the amount of trust the audience is willing to put in them. And second of all, they have dramatically underestimated the amount of trust necessary to keep playing their game, to keep using their product. Starfield doesn't give you the cool thing. They don't wave the, hey, there's something really cool over here flag for a long time. Skyrim rapidly gets to, there are dragons. And Fallout 4 rapidly gets to, there are death claws. There's power armor. There's a minigun. There's so much cool shit. There's this huge world to explore. And Starfield, the first thing Starfield does is pull you off of an empty bullshit moon and put you on another empty bullshit moon. And that really doesn't feel like flying around the various planets is going to be useful or great. When they tell you how to do the planetary survey and you learn that you have to scan a plant 8 times, you have to scan an animal 8 times, you have to get right up on top of that shit, and sometimes it's dangerous. I mean, the Crete stalkers, having to get up within 10 meters of those to scan them, you then either have to kill them or run away. It's ridiculous. All of the stuff that they crammed in between your initial event, which was the pirate combat, and the dungeon exploration, all of that stuff they crammed in there, it's not fun. And you're expecting it to be fun. So they just kind of interrupted the proceedings with bullshit. When you have to, when they tell you, you know, flying a ship is like riding a bike. And let's go ahead and get into what I would do to fix this. First of all, when you get to the launching of the ship, Vasco should inform you that flying a ship is fairly easy because almost all of the calculations are done for you by the ship's computer. You will not need to do much actual flying. The ships basically fly themselves these days. That's important. Because that tells you that when you take off in your ship, when he says the ship does almost everything for you and you press the button to launch your ship and you don't get to fly your ship, it just flies itself. Oh, he said the ship does everything for me. I would not have done space combat at this point. I would just not have done it. That is not a thing that I would have done. I would at this point have gone over how to use the map and how to get to the place that you're going. And again, you know, it's one of those, the ship will go there automatically. Vasco could easily have told you, the ship will fly there automatically. You don't have to do anything. And that could take you to the dungeon exploration very, very quickly. There was a promise made that I think Bethesda missed when the pirates landed at the station on Crete. And that promise was, you can land your ship very close to where you want. But you can't. You land the ship hundreds of meters from what you want. Even when what you want has a landing pad. There's a landing pad right there I could have landed on. Why didn't I land on it? Why did I land half a kilometer away? That makes no fucking sense. A lot of trust necessary, not a lot of trust given. That whole ship launching and combat sequence in there, it was way too long and they didn't communicate what they needed to communicate. Namely that it's not a space sim. The ship basically flies itself. So, The next big problem that you run into is there's so much stuff that you have to do before you get powers. I don't know that I would have done the temples. I think you should have started your power at level 1 when you picked up the artifact, and then been able to power it up by going to a temple. I think when you went to a temple, it should do something like reduce the power consumption. Which, of course, begs the question of, there should have been 2 upgrades to the powers. There should have been 2 upgrades to each power. 1 upgrade to the power itself, but that upgraded power causes it to use more quantum essence. And then 1 upgrade that you get at the temple. Of course, that creates the problem of you get your power almost immediately. And that changes the initial... That changes the initial setup. How much does... Okay, how much does the anti-gravity field cost? Costs 45. So the anti-gravity field could actually start out, you just don't have enough actual starborn power to use it. That would be fairly simple. When you pick up a power, it costs 20 points more to use until you go to the temple. And when you go to the temple, it reduces the power consumption. And once the power consumption is reduced, then you can use it. But there's an additional problem, and that additional problem is you're not in control of when you get various powers. And that's valuable from a story standpoint, because if you could just choose whatever power you wanted, then you would just immediately jump to the cool shit. You would immediately jump to fucking supernova and particle beam and stuff like that, and a lot of stuff wouldn't get taken. Kind of like happens in Fallout 4. You could see them trying to make this. You could see them trying to make this better. You could see them trying to improve the process, but they really need to give you the powers sooner. They really need to have that set up, like, or going to the temples increases the amount of starborn power you have. You have to put the artifact with the other artifacts to get the power, but you don't have enough starborn power to... That would be hard to communicate, though. Collect the artifact, you get a vision, put it with the rest of the artifacts, and you can find the temple, go to the temple, and you get the power. That's what we currently have. I don't know how to fix the way you get powers. I do think you should get your first power sooner, Like, I think Vladimir should be able to find the first power for you almost immediately. Yeah, I think that would do it. In Starfield, you have your A Short Journey to Quest Giver, the world opens. You have your longer journey to the quest target. You get a new quest, a dungeon exploration, but there's no boss battle. And you don't get your powers there. You should get your powers right around here. Vladimir should be able to find that first temple for you as soon as you get back from that first mission with Sarah. That would fix, that's the smallest and simplest fix right there. Yeah. So that I think is the correct way to go with this. Communicate more accurate. Don't do combat at this point. When Sarah takes you on that first quest, Sarah should be able to use her clout with the Vanguard to get you into the piloting simulator even without joining. And then you could have your first ship combat in a safe environment. And I think it'd be cool if Sarah could go in with you and like walk you through everything and give you advice and shit. But yeah, flying your ship and getting around the universe, you need to be told how to do that. Ship combat, I don't think needs to be done immediately. Oh wait. You should be taught how to run from ship combat in that first encounter. That first encounter should lead you to run from combat and use your grav drive. And upon running from combat and using your grav drive, you should then have to fly to another planet in that system. And they could send you to pretty much any system, couldn't they? I think that definitely fixes it. They should tell you if you get into a combat and it's too difficult for you or you just don't want to, then you should grav jump away. They don't teach you this, and they should. It's a thing that you have to learn from reading the tooltips at the bottom of the loading screens that everybody hates and doesn't want to read. That's another important thing about loading screens. Loading screens are how Bethesda games tell you shit you didn't know about the game. Anyway, that it's 11:30. I need to close this off and put it out and go, hey, here's why Starfield sucks, as a clickbaity thing to try and get people watching this channel, because you want people watching your fucking channel. I mean, you just do. So do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. Okay, bye.